Hi, you are watching Image Preparation for Engraving series from imagemart.com. In this second video, we'll talk about the terms used in image preparation. Let's quickly talk about raster versus vector. When you store your image as collection of dots or pixels, that's raster. When you store your image as collection of curves, that's vector. Typically, if you're in a stone business and you do sandblasting, the software to prepare and cut stencil is vector. However, if you work with any engraving machine, be it laser or impact etching, you will likely be doing raster image editing and raster image preparation. Raster images can have different extensions and different types. It can be JPEG, BMP, PNG, etc., etc. Let's talk about raster editors. As said, raster editor is the software that's used to edit the raster images, and they can be both free as well as commercial. For free raster editors, I would totally recommend GIMP and Paint.net. They came a long way in the recent years. If you want to go commercial, the golden standard is Corel Photo Paint and Adobe Photoshop. I think Adobe Photoshop is probably more popular, and I prefer Corel products because of their simplicity. Whatever editing software you use, it must support layers. You will not be able to do professional image preparation without the use of layers. Let's talk quickly about color palette used in engraving. Typically, what you work with once you prepare when you prepare the images for engraving is the grayscale 1-byte palette, which contains colors, every pixel in the image can take the color from 0, which is perfect black, to 255, which is perfect white. So I'm showing you the image of that palette on the screen right now. The higher the color number, the brighter it is on the screen. Let's talk about color balancing. This is the term we use at ImageMart. Sometimes it's called dynamic range, but the idea is that the image that you're preparing for engraving should have all of the colors from perfect black to perfect white, and in particular for engraved images, it should be quite heavily tilted or biased toward the whiter spectrum. Basically, the idea is that we make our images as bright as possible until we see that the white colors start to be overexposed. Everything starts being washed away or washed off. You should basically make your image as bright as practical without losing halftones. That's kind of the general idea. So the next term I wanted to cover is called histogram tool. Histogram tool is the objective measure of find out if your image is correctly color balanced. You should never trust your eyes because your eyes will deceive you. Our eyes are good as a tool to distinguish the brightness in relative terms. Our eyes can tell that this image is brighter than this one, but they will not be able to tell you by looking at the image that it's bright enough on its own. That's why we use color histogram as both objective tool to find out whether image is bright enough, as well as the tool to adjust the brightness. The next term I wanted to cover that we use at imagemart.com when I'm teaching my artists how to prepare images for our customers is feature exaggeration. It's a term that is completely invented by me, and it means exactly that, exaggerating features. In most cases, this means exaggerating facial features. You need to highlight all of the transitions. You need to pretty much exaggerate them almost to the degree that the image starts looking unnatural on the computer screen. But remember, you optimize your image for stone or for other material, not for computer screen. In order for your image to look good on stone, it needs to look over-edited or over-exaggerated on the computer screen. That's the whole idea. Some customers don't like that, and then customer is always right. We switch into softer style for them. That's not a problem. But in general, keep in mind, you prepare images to look good on stone. That's why on the computer screen, they need to be exaggerated. That's what feature exaggeration is for. Quickly talk about another quite confusing term is DPI. I really don't like using DPI that much because it is the measure dots per inch, how many dots are displayed or created per inch of linear surface of your computer screen, or how many dots your machine puts onto the stone. The problem with DPI is it denotes the resolution, but it does not necessarily talk about the size of the image or the device that you use. For example, 150 dots per inch is too much for engraving the stone, but it's too little for your phone screen. If your phone screen would only support 150 DPIs, it would look very pixelated to you. Modern phones actually support around 400 DPIs. But 150 DPIs is actually too much for stone engraving. When you engrave the stone, the resolution we suggest you use is 100, around 100 DPIs. Another problem with DPIs is that without the context of the size of the image, you can make a mistake of not creating the image that is big enough pixel-wise. Just to give you an example, what if customer brought you a passport-size photograph, which is like 1 inch high, and they wanted you to engrave it in 10-inch size? The question is, what DPI you should use to scan that photograph when you put in your scanner? Let's try to think. If you are planning to engrave that image in 10 inches tall on the stone, and your typical engraving resolution is 100 DPIs, then the answer is you need to scan your 1-inch passport-size photograph in your scanner with 1000 dots per inch setting. I hope you caught how I arrived at this calculation. If you didn't yet, take some time, or I'll explain it in later videos. The whole idea is DPIs is just dots per inch, but they are somewhat confusing. I prefer to use dimensions of an image in pixels, and I'll also explain later why. I guess now that you are aimed with this newfound knowledge of the terms we use in image preparation, let's move to the next topic. And in the next video, we talk about why some images are really not a good candidate for engraving, why you should avoid engraving certain types of images. If you found this content useful, please like and subscribe to our channel so that you get updated whenever we release new content, which will be pretty soon. Thank you.